Hi everyone, welcome to this fireside chat, as it's called, between myself, Simon, and Tim. And I'm 100% sure that Tim has planned a lot of interesting questions for myself. But my biggest hope is that you will get a feel for Budbee as a company, as well as understanding like how we built the company to where it is today, worth more than 1 billion SEK in less than 4 years. But before we start, Tim, I would like to. By the way, we should try to do a hashtag, get some mood up, the spirit up in the chat. So every one of you who has received a Budbee delivery, can you please just write in the chats like hashtag Budbee, just to get in the mood a little bit. I have for sure, and I know you had, Tim, received a Budbee delivery. So starting off by doing that, it's awesome. A lot of people. So Tim, are you good today?
I'm excellent. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, you're the one who's supposed to ask the questions here, and you will be. Don't you worry. But I would like to ask you a question to start off to make sure that people understand a little bit who you are and why you're here. So can you please tell us a bit about your background and perhaps a few sentences about like why you and Kinnevik decided to invest in Budbee back in the days?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a little bit reversed, right? We're not here to talk about me or Kinnevik, but I'll give you the update and then I'll take over again. And to everyone in the audience, I can see there's someone saying here that they can't hear. Can someone just confirm that the sound is coming through okay? Oh, great. Good. Thanks for that. Now, I mean, we like founders and entrepreneurs who take charge. So audience, take note of that. Simon is taking charge, and that's what investors like. No, so to give you the quick background, my name is Tim. I've been with Kinnevik for the past 4 years and look after our Nordics early stage venture portfolio, and have been in the investing space here in the Nordics and in the European setting for almost a decade now. My background is partly in finance and partly as an entrepreneur, where I help build and operate a business out in China. In terms of Kinnevik, I don't know how many of you know it, given that there's an international audience here. All the Swedes tend to know the brand, at least, since we've been around for so long. But just to give you that slight background, Kinnevik has been around for about 80 plus years now, and we are an investment house. We pride ourselves in being very long-term, so we're not set up as a fund structure. We invest truly into our entrepreneurs, into our companies, to help them build the vision they've laid out for themselves. Historically, we've been, hindsight is 2020, but historically we've been quite good at spotting emerging trends that start to hit the mass market. So if you think about the 80s and 90s, we built Tele2 and other mobile telcos around the world. In the 90s, we set up digital satellite TV in the form of MTG. In the 2000s, we invested into Zalando, and here in the 21st century, if you will, we are investing into primarily 4 sectors. So we still have consumer services that includes e-commerce, but also a little bit wider. We have food as a sector. We have financial services and healthcare as the last sector. In this capacity, I was lucky enough to meet the Budbee team actually right when they started. So I met the founders when they weren't called Budbee yet, and that's about 5, maybe even 6 years ago. And it was a different business model, and it wasn't right at that time. I wasn't with Kinnevik, I was at a previous firm, but it wasn't right for that firm at that time either. So as good investors, you try and stay in touch with entrepreneurs that have that X factor, and certainly Fredrik, who's the founder of Budbee, had that X factor. And then over time, stayed in touch. And interestingly, our CEO, who used to be the CEO of Dustin Group, had been in touch with Fredrik and the Budbee team as well, but more from a client side. So when he became the CEO of Kinnevik and Budbee was fundraising for the Series A, we triangulated our our history and our insights, and got comfortable with the company relatively quickly. I think one of the unique things about us is we have a lot of e-commerce companies where we know that the logistics chain is broken. A couple of our companies, fashion e-commerce companies around the world, actually had to go as far as build their own logistics system because the local ones simply didn't cut it. So when Budbee came and said, we have a different approach to last mile, we put tech first and we put the consumers first. That really resonated with us because that's what we've been hearing from our portfolios for as long as they've existed. So when they show up with a good team, a good vision, and frankly, stellar metrics, it was a very easy decision at that point in time. So, but Simon, thanks for that. But maybe to take over the stick again, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into Budbee, and then we'll get into Budbee after that.
Sure thing, mate. So in short, I am. My name is Simon Strindberg. I'm born and raised like 45 minutes outside Gothenburg, Sweden. Got my master's in Gothenburg at Chalmers about 10 years ago. Started my career fairly briefly at the bank SEB and Procter & Gamble, but fairly quickly I entered the startup scale-up world by joining Klarna fairly early. And primarily at Klarna, I was expanding their sales organizations to new markets. And I guess the biggest was US. And at the time I left Klarna for Budbee, I was then managing the small and medium businesses in the Nordics. So that was worth a couple of billion SEK. And when I joined Budbee at the very start of the journey, I had worked for e-commerce for 6 years and basically saw that all existing last mile services out there, they, to be frank, they sucked. And I felt convinced that if Budbee got the right people and did the tech right and had the obsession over the consumer focus, I felt convinced that this would succeed. So in short, I invested, joined, and have never looked back. And in my journey at Budbee, in the beginning, as I said, it was very, very small. So I became the chief commercial officer of the fantastic team, me, myself, and I, and started to build departments such as sales, marketing, partnerships, support teams, and a lot more. And today, a few years later, my role has shifted more towards the communication, building the brand and PR. And yeah, I guess that's the short version of my story.
Good. Well, we're pleased to have you here. So in terms of Budbee, if we go back to the early days of delivering the first package, can you just take us back to those days and describe how it was?
Of course. So in the beginning, as you said, it's pretty much exactly 4 years ago since we did the first e-commerce parcel. But before that, we didn't know exactly how the product should work in detail, but we for sure knew that the existing solution, honestly, they sucked, as I said. And we also knew that we wanted to use our in-house tech innovation to make a consumer product within the logistics space. And we really wanted to build something that's finally solved the last mile delivery for e-commerce. And we tried a few ideas, different approaches, and as mentioned, October 4 years ago, we did the first delivery in central Stockholm. And this first delivery was a pilot, and we were teamed up with a few merchants that shared our opinion, basically, regarding that last mile for e-commerce at the time wasn't good enough. And the pilot feedback that we got, both from these merchants, but primarily the consumers, was overwhelming. They loved it. And when we saw that they loved it, we knew that we have this service that it solves the last piece of the logistics puzzle. And to also mention what we actually launched was basically a service that, of course, it's home deliveries, but we did home deliveries that provided the consumers with a great user experience where they can follow the delivery in real time. It's based on our own tech innovation, and the consumers, they got the exact minute delivery time. They got several options to personalize the delivery experience. So yeah, that's what it was. But it was also in those early days, it was, and it is today as well to some extent, but it was for sure not easy. It was all hands on deck. And I don't know how many times myself, the rest of the management team, everyone at the office, to be honest, have been heading to the terminals in the evening, sorting packages, driving routes, delivering packages, etc., And it truly is like a Budbee family, and we realized that we all need to help each other, whatever required to succeed, really. Like one funny story, like at least I think so, was when we really saved money by renting an office that was soon to be demolished, and it was like very, very low standards. So we invested like 4 or 5 weekends, like all of us working at Budbee. And the weekends we ate pizza and repainted and refurbished, and yeah, those stories, they go on and on. But it's really like these things, or I would say this culture, that still is the case at Budbee today. And like wrapping up the beginning, like we understood after the pilot really that to succeed and to make this like the huge company we dreamt about and become profitable, we need to become really big. Like we need to deliver huge quantities of parcel, and hence we also realized that that's barely, almost impossible to do organically. We need some money to go to the next phase, so to say.
Yeah. And how did that go about? So you got some pretty stellar investors on your cap table, and I'm not talking about us in the early days. Talk us through that process.
That process, in short, like we used like our network and our network's network and like our dear friend Google, and reached out to potential investors. And at this first step of investments, like it was primarily relatively wealthy individuals, like no companies like Kinnevik or similar. And it was like the CEO of Klarna, H&M, Ryska Posten, etc. And basically we needed this money for 3 things. Like we really needed to expand the team from a lot of me, myself, and I departments to bigger teams. We needed to expand operations to more cities so that we could include more consumers within our delivery zone. And a third thing that we really needed to do was to prove that the concept could be automated, industrialized, and hence scale according to the models that we built. So we started to do precisely that, basically. And among other things, we designed and built the first sorting machine, sorting parcels. And perhaps the volumes at the time couldn't justify it, but it really proved that our Excel models, they were accurate and regarding how it would scale, and that it actually worked in real life as well.
Yeah. No, and that's important, right? I mean, I think just to summarize some of those points, hard work is not replaceable in the early days. You got to go hands-on. Secondly, you got to show that passion, and you got to select your investors. So going to those guys who knew e-commerce inside out, knew the problems, and saw the value that you guys could deliver, found a match.
Yeah.
And that was certainly the case with us as well. And very recently, you just had Stena Group come into Budbee as a big investor as well.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a little bit on the history side. And if anyone in the audience have questions, please start posting them, and we'll pick a few of them at the end. But Simon, any secrets that we can keep within our group of you, me, and our friends in the audience about the future that you can share?
The future, like we try to keep the future ambitious, like partly to ourselves, and talk more about what we actually do. But some few examples that we're working really hard with right now is the fact that we aim to become the most environmentally friendly and the smartest and most precise and like overall the most convenient delivery option for e-commerce. So we invest heavily in the green deliveries, or whatever you're going to call them. So and on that topic, like we fairly recently grew our delivery bike fleet. So now we deliver 5 to 10% of all our packages by bike. We have 100% fossil-free zones in the larger cities, 100% fossil-free line haul coming up like Monday, I think, 100% fossil-free in-house fleet. And yeah, so a lot happens regarding that. And to mention one more thing, I guess, would be that we really would like to get our rating up to, like right now we have millions of ratings and the average score is 4.9 out of 5. And we would like to get it up to 5 out of 5, of course, even though we're proud of the 4.9. And a lot of the development in terms of new features will happen within our app. So in the app, you have a lot more like features that is really beneficial for the consumer. You can see your history, set your profile, etc. So if you haven't downloaded yet, like anyone listening, like go to the App Store or Google Play to download the Budbee app.
Yeah, it's mean, obviously I'm biased, but I've been using Budbee even before you guys existed. And now with the app, you can search for what you need, and it will actually tell you where you can find a shop that delivers with Budbee. So
Yeah.
for the people in the audience with young kids where you need something today, it's a great tool to have handy.
A question
Good.
from Felix, I see
Yeah.
here.
So how do you view Amazon's entrance into Sweden and the Nordics? Threat or opportunity? It's a good question. I mean, it's certainly something we've been debating a lot.
yeah, got multiple angles on that topic, but in basic, I think it's Amazon is a fantastic company, and they do a lot of great things, and they put even more focus on e-commerce, and that I think is really beneficial for us. And if not partnering up with Amazon, like, we think that the focus on better services will just increase, and we are the tool for e-commerce players to increase their service to their consumers. So we don't see Amazon as a threat, more than that, like an opportunity for us to help all other players to get to pair or even better than Amazon services.
Yeah. No, I would tend to agree with that. I mean, Amazon has been educating consumers all over the world, and even before they head into a country, they've effectively educated the people there before they enter on how that service should be delivered. And I think we play into that opportunity.